Hey guys, what's good? It's December 11th, 2025. It is Shane's World News Views podcast for this week. I did not do an episode last week, so I will be doing this one and another one this week to make up for the one that I missed because I like doing one per week. And I'm going back to my old ways. I'm going back to not reading off of the sheets. I'm not going to touch on every single thing for the week, but I'm going to touch on the most important things, and I'm going to shoot from the hip like what I'm doing right now. This is the way I feel most comfortable, not reading off of papers, just not looking at anything, just coming right off my mind. So whatever I remember for the week, I remember. I try to take everything in as much as I possibly can. I'll probably miss some stuff, but I'm not going to miss much. So President Trump solving more wars, Congo and Rwanda with a peace agreement, still waiting for Russia and Ukraine. Corrupted Zelensky, he's sitting there. He doesn't want to have real elections in the Ukraine, of course, so they could just keep him on the top of the pedestal because he'll be voted out. The guy's corrupt as shit. His inside people are getting found for corruptness. I've been telling you all that the Ukraine is super corrupt. So we'll see what comes about of Russia and Ukraine soon. Nothing yet, but President Trump doing his thing. They had the Kennedy honors in Washington, D.C. and in the last week, and they honored Michael Crawford, Kiss, George Strait, Gloria Gaynor, and Sylvester Stallone for all the things that they've done in music and in acting, and they were all happy, to be awarded at this event, and it's a great honor. And all were very happy to be in President Trump's presence, as he was happy to be in theirs. Also, they had the FIFA drawing in Washington. I believe it was the president from Canada, Mexico. They were there. President Trump, of course, he drew the United States, as did Canada, and Mexico drew their own countries. So they say that the first matchup for the USA is going to be favorable. We'll see what happens. USA is not expected to do anything in this tournament, in this FIFA tournament, as far as winning the championship. But I mean, you never know. We'll see what happens. So it was a fun event. They had the Village People perform there. I believe, they were the headliners of that event. So, of course, they sing their YMCA, Trump's biggest theme song when he comes out to his rallies. And he was up dancing and making everybody laugh like he does. He entertains. And I don't know, man. I mean, I'm going to just try to think around a little bit about what's been happening the last week. Look, redistricting, that's something I could talk about basically every week. There's redistricting. There is going to be redistricting in Indiana, which is going to favor the Republican Party, give them more seats, gaining more seats for the Republican Party, as is in Texas also. Of course, you've had judges try to step in and stop the redistricting, and then the Supreme Court comes in. Yet, federal judges try to step in, and then the Supreme Court overrules them and says, no, they could keep doing the redistricting process. I mean, it's a total joke. Now you're seeing all the corrupt judges. You're seeing how many corrupted judges there really are. It's insane. There's so many. Just like I always have told you people, there's good and bad in everything. Just like we have good and bad people all over the government. And, but in any position, and you just need good people in these positions. And I feel like nowadays it's like you have people just taking these jobs, in government so they could break the law. Just, I don't know, all these trading deals and under the table deals and, anything that they could do to get kickbacks and make more money off of their regular salary and become millionaires. It's fucking insane. I mean, and just like what happened in Minneapolis, now the billions of dollars that were, given out to these Somalian gang members, taken away billions of dollars. Like it was like 5 or 6 billion, I think even more. And this is why the Somalians are getting deported. I mean, because, if you're illegal, again, in this country by the Constitution as it states, this isn't the Trump law. This is the Constitution of the United States of America. If you're an illegal citizen, you have to go. You cannot come into this country if you're illegal. It's very plain and simple. So that goes for anybody of any ethnicity, any race. If you're illegal, Sorry, I mean, I understand there's some good people that are illegals. There's a lot of good people that are illegals. The problem is there's also a lot of bad people that are illegals. And we need to get all the illegals out, and the good ones, they could come back through the legal process. It might take a long time, but that's the way it goes in this country. Again, this isn't the Trump law. This is the United States Constitution law, and President Trump is following that law. That's all it is. And not letting these fucking people in, opening the borders like the imposter Biden administration did. And like I've been telling everybody, eventually it will come out that the 2020 election was stolen, and President Trump just made a statement, I believe it was a couple days ago, that within the next few months, it will be shown how the 2020 election was stolen. I always said that this was going to happen, and it will, but little by little, you have things happening. So, first President Trump's worried about stopping wars. He's worried about, getting the economy right, getting everything lower. Gas is lower, some foods are lower, but still some foods are higher. He wants to get everything lower. The tariff war that he issued on these countries, he's going to win, because eventually they're going to lower our tariff, and then the prices of those foods are going to drop. Therefore, people are going to save money on food. You'll see very soon. He even said at first it probably wasn't going to look good. He said, but eventually, after a few months, it was going to come into play, and you're all going to see that President Trump was not lying to you. He was telling you the truth. Look, I can sit here every week. I'm talking about like Letitia James Comey. These people, they need to be, they need all these cases are getting thrown out. These people have knowingly, there's proof, physical evidence that they broke the law. Letitia James with her mortgage fraud. And then you have judges just throwing these cases out. Well, eventually we're going to get it right. This isn't going to happen. Supreme Court might have to step in and say, no, this, is going to go to a trial. This is going to show that Letitia James Comey, these bad people, they did these bad things, and that they're going to face the penalty. They're going to suffer prison time. They're going to get some kind of penalty for this. They're going to lose their positions. They're going to suffer jail time. These people are not good people. They're bad people, straight up. Also, the Oompa Loompa Jasmine Crockett, the disgraced congresswoman in Texas, she's now going to run for senator in Texas, I saw. So that's going to be a loss. And, I think she actually lost her seat in the redistricting process that's going on in Texas. So she had no chance, obviously, of coming back as a congresswoman. So now she's going for senator. She'll lose that. She's corrupt as fuck. So many of these people are, and there's so many on both sides that are. It's very disgusting. What else do I want to talk about here? The narco-terrorists. 4 more narco-terrorists, I believe, were killed in the last week. So, again, these people keep coming into this country. President Trump warns you, do not try to bring drugs into the United States. You're going to be blown to smithereens, and this is exactly what's happening. And then you got people that say that, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, should be impeached, and all this shit, and that these killings are not right. And give me a break. Again, if you're trying to bring drugs into our country, you're trying to kill our people. That's a crime. Therefore, you're warned. Do not come into this country. Trump keeps warning Nicolas Maduro, the disgraced not recognized Venezuelan leader. Stop doing this. And I guess he talked to Maduro, and I don't know. Maduro has some kind of issues with what Trump wants from Maduro. Like, he doesn't want to. There's certain things that he doesn't like. That he doesn't want to give up or something. And President Trump's just like, dude, you just keep doing this stuff, and it's going to be you, man. Like, next it's going to be you. So there's going to be no agreements. Like where you're going to avoid jail time or avoid even getting blown to smithereens like the rest of these narco terrorists. These people are bad people. What else do I want to touch on in this episode? Kind of skimming around here. President Trump, I think, I'm trying to think what else he's got coming up here. It's different not reading from paper, because I'm writing down every single little thing, especially even like, killings, which I don't really need to bring that shit up. I only go the ones that are like the most crazy or that they usually report in the world news. I usually touch on that on this podcast. But, there was a couple of things that I remember this past week. Of course, there's killings every day, unfortunately, in this world. That's not going to stop, sadly. So I could just sit here and I could, if I really looked it up, I could just tell you about different killings every day. And nobody really wants to hear about that shit. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing I'm going to touch on there. Of course, we don't want any of that kind of stuff to happen to anybody. This unwarranted stuff, people just getting attacked for no reason, people going up and shooting up restaurants, shooting up whatever, shooting up clubs, just shooting whatever, and killing innocent people. We don't want that. We don't want that in this world at all. You know what I'm saying? So, so I'm not, but there's nothing, specifically that I'm going to report on this episode that I could think of that's happened in the last week plus. Talked about redistricting. Look, we got the midterms coming up. Of course, that's going to be a big deal. President Trump, he was campaigning in Pennsylvania the other day. A lot of people say, oh yeah, the Democrats are going to win the midterms. Well, I don't think so. I think it's the Republicans are going to, stay in power, and he's going to go around and he's going to just keep campaigning, hyping up the crowds and doing his thing in turn, keeping people interested in voting, when the midterm elections come up in a couple of months. And what else do we have to talk about? Man, like I said, this is coming off the top of the head, so it's a little different than just, reading it all, but this is better. It's tough to sit there, honestly, and I'm taking these notes every week, and it seems like it's an hour, like that I'm writing all these notes down, and for me, it's just so much better to, just go with it like this, go with what I remember, and that's it. So Ilhan Omar, she was attorney in New Jersey. She stepped down her position, so she's out. She's not she's not gonna hold that position anymore. So Ilhan Omar, she's a good person. She's a big Trump supporter. I'm sure she'll do well, in the future. Maybe President Trump will give her some kind of a position. Also, Marjorie Taylor Greene, President Trump, they got this big rift going on, and it's just not stopping, and they're both throwing insults at each other, and I hate seeing that because it seemed like they were really close, and they were getting along, and certain things came in the way, and President Trump got pissed off, and then, she's been coming and saying, he's accepting Israel money, and he's taking, money from Israel, and she's never taken anything, and I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. On good news, though, Trump and Elon Musk, they seem to be back on the same page. I don't think they were ever off of the same page. I think that was kind of like a thing that they were just kind of creating for the media to, make you think that they were having a riff, and there really wasn't that much of a riff going on. So seems like that they're getting along really well. What else is happening here? Man, I tell you what, I know that there's more stuff. I'm trying to kind of touch up here, and I'm going to do another episode here in a couple of days. So whatever I missed on this one, I'll touch up on in the next few days. And as far as sports goes, like, I'm not going to talk about it all the time, even though I touch very little on sports. I'm only going to bring up bigger things. I mean, it's, like playoffs, championships, I'll bring that stuff up. But to just talk about it every week and just say, well, here, I'm going to highlight mainly what my sports teams are doing. No, I don't want to do that in this. I don't want to just highlight the 4 teams that I cheer for, basically, and then throw in some other stuff. I'll just talk about it when it matters. When we get into playoff games, when we get into, championships and stuff like that. So I'm going to kind of just keep this like world news, topics, political topics. That's what I'm going to keep it as. What else do we have going on? You have disgraced Congressman Benny Thompson. I heard today, he said that it was an accident that 2 National Guard members were shot in Washington, D.C. An accident? A planned shooting was an accident. where a woman is dead and where it looks like Andrew Wolf will survive, but we don't know what kind of permanent damage he's going to have, like, you know, his brain memory issues or something. They did say he was up walking the other day. An accident? Give me a fucking break, dude. Guy's pathetic. Congressman Benny Thompson, I believe from Mississippi. Scumbag. Total scumbag. And behind the January 6th bullshit, part of the January 6th committee, right? He's one of these losers, just like Schiff and just like Liz Cheney, these scumbags, total scumbag. Also, what else do I want to touch on? I'll tell you what, there's nothing else really. I mean, look, President Trump, really, lately, he's just been talking about, you know, the narco-terrorism. I mean, he's, you know, getting that, you know, saying, look, we're taking that shit and we're ending it. We're not allowing drugs to keep coming into this country. And, you know, he's been focusing on that, the midterms. You know, that's kind of like where we're at the last couple of weeks since I've done the last episode. So nothing else crazy out of the realm that I really need to talk about. Thank goodness. No other, you know, like major tragedies, like, you know, where people blew up shit, like, and killed so many people, or there was like mass shooting, or thank goodness. But sadly, there probably will be another week, and I'm going to have to probably report that. So I think, I'm trying to think if that's where I want to end this right now for this week's. I think I'm going to end it, well, for my first episode this week. I will be back in a couple of days with my second episode of the week, like I said, making up for not having one last week. So, and there's nothing to talk about in terms of sports, in terms of championships right now, because you have, or playoffs, you have football, basketball, hockey in process, baseball season over. You know, all the awards in baseball were given out. I reported on that already. I'm not going to just talk about every single little free agent signing or trade, or I'm not doing that because this isn't a sports podcast. I kind of just don't want to make this that. It's a little bit of sports. It's always been, you know, it's mostly world news, political news, and that's kind of what I want to keep it as. So, anyway, vote Trump, vote MAGA, Trump 2020, 2028. And if President Trump is not serving the country, it will be somebody great. J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, somebody really good, I promise. So it won't be a Dem, I promise you that. And like I always say, this isn't about political parties. Like, really, we need good politicians on both sides. It just seems like lately, it's mostly the Dems have really polluted everything. Like, there are so many people on that base, in that base, that are doing illegal things, taking illegal money, doing illegal business. Ilhan Omar from Minnesota, another disgraced congresswoman, President Trump said, you know, we're looking into that. We're going to, you know, she married her brother to get into this country. We're going to get her the hell out of here. But actually, she's going to have to be back here if we do deport her to face charges. I guarantee you criminal charges will be brought up against her. I guarantee you she's involved in this illegal money scam, illegal money laundering. Her, Tim Walz, asshole from Minnesota, governor of Minnesota, these people 100% knew what the fuck was going on with all this illegal money going around to these fucking Somalian gangs, you know, taken away from charities to go give to criminals. It's insane, just so they could get kickbacks from it, you know. And then they're taking pictures with people that were involved in these, in this laundering, in this stealing of money. There's pictures of these people with Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar. It's crazy. So we got to get the corrupted politicians out. It's enough. We have to get good people on both sides of the aisle to fight for this country. We shouldn't be fighting each other, man. This country should be fighting together to stay strong, not going against each other. It's insane. So anyway, I will have more in a couple of days, things I didn't touch up on, which I know there's definitely a couple of things I missed. So anyway, this is like school now. I have to really go and study more because I'm not going to jot down the notes. I'm going to study and then try to remember what I can. But like I said, it's just better on my mindset if I could like think free, move free while I'm doing this podcast, and than just sitting there and reading and writing this shit, because it just takes extra time, and I don't like that. Sorry. So anyway, this is another episode of Shane's World News Views podcast, and I'll be back with another one in a couple of days. I'll see you then.